Gina asked this question, which was, I understood from someone else who was teaching how to be a real estate investor that I should put my properties into LLCs.
Okay.
And actually, you and I were talking about this earlier today. So I just want to jog you in case you aren't going to bring it up. California and LLCs.
No, I remember for sure, because I'll tell you, LLCs are an interesting thing. Now, they are apart from trusts. So trusts were not born at the state level. Trusts were born and the sovereignty of our country. So literally, trusts came over on the Mayflower. LLCs didn't come over on the Mayflower. Corporations didn't come over on the Mayflower. Trusts came over on the Mayflower. So now we take it from there. Later, each state being its own country, so to speak, each country, each state has its right to create its own laws and its own rules. And that's what they do. So they have created this entity called a limited liability company, LLC. And limited liability companies, well, they're birthed by the state. The state gave them life. The state gave them breath. The state gave them every reason for being, and all the rules and regulations of that state are used by that LLC. Well, think about this. So California, having not seen a tax that they don't like, California has a franchise tax. So if you are an LLC, they charge you $800 to have an LLC in California. By the way, there's also annual dues, annual fees, and annual tax returns that are required as part of those LLCs. Now, watch this. So let's say you have 10 properties and you put each property in its own LLC because you like what I said about separating the assets from one another. Well, you certainly can do that, but you'd have to set up one of these state entities for each one of those things. Well, what do you end up with? You end up with an $8,000 annual bill for just the franchise tax on those 10 properties. Now let's contrast that with my land trust concept, that you put each property in its own land trust. No annual dues, no annual fees, no franchise tax, and the tax return is filed by the beneficiary, not by the entity. So you've got some really powerful things that you can do with the trust concept that LLCs would not give you. And it all depends on which state you're in as to how much it costs to actually own and operate that LLC. But just contrast that with this: no annual dues, no annual fees, no annual tax returns, as with other entity and required by other entities. So if that is attractive to you, then I strongly encourage you to learn trusts for yourself. Don't turn it over to an attorney. Don't turn it over to a financial advisor. You must learn it for yourself. They just don't know what they don't know. And there's so many strategies that go with how this works and how you can avoid a lot of the cost, expense, headaches, and defeats that do happen with other types of entities.